Welcome, everyone, to another Industry in Transition podcast. I'm Tony Sirianni, of course, and I'm here with my good friend Jerry Lombard, who is the president of the Private Client Group. That's correct, right, Jerry?
That's correct, Tony. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I don't know what it's like in the great fighting city of Philadelphia, but it is boiling hot here in Virginia today. I don't know.
It's pretty brutal up here too, Tony.
Well, the audience and I all appreciate you dressing well versus some of our other guests. So if there's an award I could give, I would certainly give it to you for that. So appreciate it.
I'm trying, but they can't see the flip-flops I'm wearing.
Okay. We don't ever want to see what's going on, below, right?
Where the sausage is made.
That's right. And well, look, that's interesting because this is sort of the new normal, right? It's a new normal for me, and I'm guessing it's the new normal for you, that we're in this Zoom world. How has Janney, done with all? Well,
yeah, I was going to say it certainly is different. I don't think it's something any of us expected going into 2020. I'm happy that the firm reacted and has managed through the crisis so far the way it has. Back in mid-March, we went remote like most of the industry. I'm happy to say that it nary a glitch in getting people to work remotely, both our advisors, our home office support staff, and the branch support staffs. I think we did something a little different in as much as, we used our exempt status to maintain our branches in an open manner so that if FAs chose to go into work voluntarily, they could. And I guess at this juncture, we probably on a given day have 40 to 50% of our advisors working from the branches. There's not been a formal callback to work. But it does give our FAs that flexibility that some other firms have not had.
Well, in addition to this thing that, look, 10 years ago, what could we have done, right? It would have been terrible. But now we not only have, this pandemic we're dealing with, but the markets, have been crazy volatile. How have your guys been dealing with that?
Well, I think it was a bit of a shock coming out, as every bear market is. I'm glad we have an experienced FA force, so it's not it wasn't their first rodeo, if you will, during the worst of the market sell-off back in February and March. I really think that this was a blessing in disguise. After a 10-year bull run, it's so easy for clients to become complacent around the advice that they're receiving. And then, it's exactly the kind of crisis that we've gone through that proves out the value of and the worth of a financial advisor in the lives of our clients.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question that advice now all of a sudden seems valuable.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've looked at the asset recovery, and we're literally within 1% of our highs at the close of 2019, which of course was a record. And to me, that just proves out that our clients receive the right advice to stay the course, to invest for the long term. And it's proven out, and the recovery has meant tens of billions of dollars to our clients. I mean, it's real.
Yeah. Well, everybody's a genius in a bull market. You really don't see in our business, where the cracks are until you have something like this happen.
Well, you and I have been around long enough to know that, human nature is such that, clients generally without guidance would probably panic and sell at the bottom as they buy at the tops and things of that nature. And again, it just reinforces the value of advice that advisors bring to our clients' lives.
And I think, interestingly, based on that same, statistic, which is, as you and I know, has held true since 1991 when there was crashes, 87, all that. Whenever a client they had access to mutual funds, and they did the same thing. They sold them at the bottom, bought them at the top. I'm hoping that this might help us with millennials a little bit too, who a little bit came in this market and knew nothing. They know nothing but a rising market. They've never seen anything but.
Yeah, and then you see this explosion of online trading that's taking place. And I'm afraid people, I guess the good thing is that they're learning a little bit about the markets, those folks that are entering for the first time. Unfortunately, I think the ones that are going to be serious about it in the long run will turn to advisors because they'll learn soon enough what they don't know.
Right. Right. Well, we have a great business, but there are issues, that surround our business too. I mean, we need to get more advisors in it. We need more diverse advisors. We need to have we need to keep growing, or else, we're gonna age ourselves right out of it. Unfortunately, it's our age and older and just a little bit younger that sort of, populates where we are.
Yep, absolutely correct. Absolutely. We started a program a few years back, I guess it's probably in its fourth or fifth year now, where the home office support people and our private client assistants, they could enter into an FA career track program. And that's been quite a good thing for us. We've probably graduated a few dozen people that are now populating our teams, and it's bringing our age level down. Still a lot to go, but boy, I'll tell you, the next generation of advisors are really going to be in the catbird seat, because there's going to be a huge wave of retirement, and they are going to inherit the world, as they say.
It's a great job. It's a great job. Matter of fact, I think I wrote an article once that said the best job in the world, the best thing you could be, is somebody who fails out of the Merrill training program, because then you can go to any place in the world and become an assistant and maybe inherit a book, or get on a team, because we're desperate for people, we're desperate to find people. So that brings up another point, which is young people getting into business, but technology, right? I mean, we're this change that we're in is all about technology. And if there's a knock on the regional firms, and I want you to speak for all regionals, to stand up for them. If there's knock on the regional firms, it's that they don't have the same tech pieces. I mean, you can't compete on the Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, the amount they invest in their technology. Of course, those become closed silos. And on the independent side, it's always like, well, I could have any technology because I can, plug into anything. Where does Janney land, or where do you think the regionals land, and what are some of the benefits that you've seen, especially now that you really had a chance to crisis test this stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the days of big being better when it came to technology buy and build probably are a ways behind us. Technology has become ubiquitous, and you're right. We can buy best in breed. We can build best in breed. We have our own development staff, and we're a firm of 865 advisors. But the talent's out there, and per capita, if you have the financial capabilities to make those investments, and we do, then you can compete toe to toe with anybody. In fact, we're not saddled with the old mainframe kind of world, or inherently in-house product that takes years and years to rebuild. We're nimble when it comes to technology. We've been investing heavily. I think after our human talent and then rent, it's probably our third most expensive cost in any given year. But this crisis has just pulled the use of technology by our clients ahead years.
Yeah.
You're seeing everything is going to be digital, and that has some real benefits in terms of efficiencies. I think in 2021 we'll probably be doing more client reviews over a forum like this, Tony, than we will in person. I don't think technology replaces the in person, but it's going to be a big assist to helping clients get.
As you know, if you're 75 or 80, you're not necessarily, anxious to be on Instagram or anything like that, but you use technology, right? You're not anti-technology. And now that if these 80-year-old grandparents want to see their grandkids, they've got to understand Zoom. So once the cat's out of the bag, it's out of the bag, and they've been dealing with their advisor via Zoom. So why would they go back at this point?
Well, I think you wrote that article about how a 3-year-old changed the world. On exactly that point. I think it's going to be incumbent on financial advisors to catch up with clients in some cases. They cannot resist what is happening with the adoption of technology. And it's just not the Zoom and the WebEx, it's the aggregation tools. It's the financial planning tools. It's making sure that everything integrates with our clients and their online experience with our firms that are really going to be difference makers and competitive advantages for FAs that embrace that kind of
they have to.
technology.
You have to do it. If you're not doing that, you know, you're going to be left behind. As you said, you know, the advice, we're in a good spot because nobody wishes for bad markets, but this, I think, was a benefit to our business, right? The idea that, you know, you need advice to get forward, but really going forward to succeed, you're going to need to embrace technology, and advisors that don't are going to be, you know, left behind, which is just, you know, no one wants to see that.
Well, that comes back to your earlier point about, you know, changing the makeup of our FA forces. It's the young people that, you know, they're native users. You know, they were born with a keyboard in their pocket, so to speak. So they're much more adept at it, and they can help the advisors of my era get on the fast track sooner.
Yeah, but even young people, like when they date, it's all via text. You know, they don't do a lot of phone calls. They're doing a lot of, you know, texting that. So we have to understand how to relate to that. I want to talk a little bit about recruiting too, and some of the opportunities and where you see our business, you know, going. Some of the challenges of, yeah, I think there's a cultural battle between the wirehouses and everybody else, and you know that battle's kind of over, right? You know, culture is deemed to be better outside of a very large firm. But then you have the independent space where I think there's wonderful culture, right? No matter how you define it, and there's so many differences. The regionals are always thought to be, you know, cultural havens. But the trick on the indie side of my mind is stability. So who owns the stock? Is it a private equity firm? Is it a vulture firm? Is it a venture firm? Advisors are given stock, but they don't always know, you know, who the ultimate owner of that stock is. And you guys have a pretty big balance sheet to compete. So, how, you know, are you going to take that out and use it come into COVID?
Well, you know, it's interesting. We went into the crisis, and one of the first things we looked at was where we stood on our recruiting deals. And for the FAs doing more than 750 on a T12, we upped our deals. Yeah. We announced that back in April. I hope it made it onto your site.
I think I remember.
But I think we were one of the first ones to, you know, kind of raise the bar and challenge the rest of the industry, because there is a war for talent and it hasn't stopped. And I'm glad we're out punching our weight. But our parent has such financial strength and excess capital, especially in a low interest rate environment. You know, they are ecstatic about funding our recruiting deals because of the high ROIs that they generate versus what they could get in investment grade debt.
That's very interesting, because I've always felt that this is a fantastic way to invest. You know what I mean? You're getting a high rate of return. You're getting your money back. This comes through essentially people's pay in the business that they've had for a long time. It seems like a great. People may not know it's Penn Mutual.
Penn Mutual.
Penn Mutual owns Janney. It's a great insurance company, been around, you know, forever.
Oh gosh, yeah, goes back to the 1850s in their founding. Not quite as long as Janney's roots go back, but pretty far back. And now one of the top 7 largest mutual insurers in North America. You know, we're going on our close to 40 years. In fact, I think it's 38 years next month since Penn Mutual acquired the partnership that was then Janney Montgomery Scott. And it's just been an excellent synergistic relationship all those 4 decades through multiple economic ups and downs, market ups and downs. The 2 firms really complement each other, and Janney is a significant part, generally 25 to 30% of both top and bottom line. Just last month, Moody's reaffirmed Penn Mutual at AA3 excellent.
Oh, it's a great. It's one of the top insurance. There's no question. And yeah, it's interesting to me because when I talk to you, I know the people over there, good people at Janney, and it just feels different than a bank-owned company. And I'm not 100% sure as to why. Then they're based on life insurance sales, so they understand that there's a process. They respect salespeople, but there's certainly a different feeling to what you guys are doing than when you go to a company that's owned by a bank and it feels very process driven and, product pushed kind of thing.
Yeah, well, you really get the best of both worlds at Janney, Tony. I mean, it's a pure play when it comes to private client group activities, what FAs do day in, day out, what they breathe. That's 85% plus of our business at Janney. Yet you have the size and strength of the Penn Mutual balance sheet, as I was saying, AA3 excellent, a rating unchanged since 2004, if you can believe that, through all these crises, and sitting with roughly $2 billion in excess capital, which they allow us to tap into for recruiting purposes to grow the firm that way, but also in our technology platform.
Yeah.
And making sure that we have the specialists on board so that our FAs have the solutions and the expertise support that they need to go out and win new business.
Now that we're in it's so hard to tell. I would have said, 4 weeks ago, hey, it looks like we're coming to the end of this thing. What are the plans now? It looks like this is going to, drag on. What are the things you're going to take away, you think, from what we're going through? The social unrest, the pandemic, the other thing is, we're having our big event in November. It's the Thursday after the election. So this is going to be crazy, election and economically, what's going to happen? There's, we're going to have more taxes. Where do you see this thing going? And where would you sort of start putting a line on, all right, we're dealing with this thing. Now we got to go, what's next?
Yeah. Well, I don't see it ending at any time soon, although I like to say optimistically that every day that goes by, we're one day closer to getting a vaccine. So it will come to an end and hopefully not in a distant future. But in the meantime, again, because our technology and I guess shifting gears in the way we support our FAs has been working well, we don't need to call everybody back. So it will continue as is. All these challenges, these future challenges, the election, the makeup of society and the challenges that are facing, I see them all as opportunities. One, because clients have these concerns. The world is changing, and as it changes, it impacts markets, and they need to know that they're still on track, that their plans are intact, and they need an advisor. And gosh, the cost of advice is dirt cheap compared to doing it yourself.
Yeah.
What's the delta? Maybe 25, 30 basis points off of a do-it-yourself model. I know our shop, we average 60 basis points is the return on assets for our clients in terms of our revenue generation. So it's dirt cheap, and boy, it's priceless, as the commercial says. So yeah, I don't see things settling down, but I do see an awful lot of opportunity, as hopefully the things in society correct themselves, and I think there is need for correction. That just broadens the opportunity for so many of the underserved individuals that we could be out there and helping with their financial lives too.
Yeah, when you get into this business, I just remember my training from so many years ago. It was, you were there to help people. They used to say widows and orphans, and they'd say, people who are just starting, and you're an important part of what people do. And you and I know, when you talk with advisors, they're the first or second or third call when somebody passes away, God forbid, or there's something terrible happens. They always lean on the advisor.
That's right.
One thing that you had mentioned earlier was, real estate. So I'm wondering, what are the regional firms going to do there? Do you anticipate changes? I know a lot of people are stuck in 10-year leases now and all that kind of. But are you able to achieve, savings maybe with some landlords now, or how is that going to impact your business?
Maybe in some of our larger urban markets, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, we'll have opportunities there. But the average Janney setting has 7 FAs in it. Now, that's a blessing because we can be pretty flexible in our floor plans with, 5-7-year leases always rolling off. We don't have these, large Taj Mahal type settings that we would have to shutter and maybe split up into smaller things. So I think again, nimbleness comes with a firm of our size. I think in the corporate headquarters, we're going to realize a lot of opportunities to have people work remotely. Again, just the efficiency of not having the daily commute.
Yeah. I mean,
Whether that's quality of life.
Are you seeing a diminution in performance or production now with people at home in the home office?
No, no, we're really not. We're very pleased with everyone's productivity. It's funny. I was just saying there's no commute. We're having our PCAs log on in the morning well before the normal hours that they're supposed to be starting. And that's all well and good. We want them there to support our clients. We have the Jabber technology that allows all the phone calls to roll over. So the client experience, if they are calling into the branches, it is sort of seamless. We're there to answer their phones, maybe even in a manner that over the extent of a day that we wouldn't have been if people were just making it in by 9 o'clock after public transportation.
I'm totally hearing that. That's what people are experiencing, and that may be where most of your real estate savings, could take place, right? The home office stuff, and then you have a lot of people who work in marketing, and they have kids around, and all that's kind of accepted these days. That's stuff that we just corporately, we were so formal, we wouldn't accept it. But some of this Zoom technology has broken down that third wall. So, do you really care if you hear somebody's kid or a dog bark? I mean, everybody just kind of it's fine,
Well, it is kind of life in its truest sense, but. I think it's great. I'm not knocking it at all. I do think, though, that there are points, especially in the branch system, especially with the prevalence of teaming, that kind of collaboration has a little bit of a speed bump thrown at it right now. In a perfect world, I think you'd have a combination where you're celebrating, collaborating, planning for the next big win of new business together. But when you're reading and you're researching and you're preparing for client meetings, it can be done remotely. There'll be some savings in real estate, but at firm our size, I don't see it button our bigger markets.
The great thing about branches and people who had never worked in a branch or when they leave a branch, they don't appreciate till they leave. There's an FA down the hall, and she's an expert in 401ks, which is a low margin business. It's a pain in the ass to do. You got to go through all this stuff. So, if you have somebody that you can split it with, isn't that better? Just hand it to her, let her, she's good at it. She'll you got a much better chance of getting the business than you. And you just totally miss that if you're not in a branch and you're not.
Yeah, I think the collaboration is still the thing on the fly that I wish technology could advance, and maybe it will. Maybe we'll have 3D versions of branches, and who knows what comes. You wanted a prediction out of me. I'll give you that one.
All right, good. Well, I'm predicting we're having our first virtual conference, so we'll really see what that's like. There's supposed to be all kinds of interactive stuff that goes. So I hope I see you there. So we've done this. Sure. We've done this about 20, 25 minutes. In a normal world, we'd like to do this as a commuting thing, so people can commute, and listen. Is there anything I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think I've gotten the commercial in, Tony. I really do appreciate the opportunity, and it's always good to talk to you. And I think what you're doing at AdvisorHub is a real service for advisors out there that are looking for unvarnished information on every firm. It keeps us all on our toes. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you. We'll talk again.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.